Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. There's a storm brewing in the NFC, and this one has fans talking nonstop. Rumors are swirling that RIQ WOOLEN, the star cornerback who made waves with the Seattle Seahawks, is packing his bags and heading to Washington to join the Commanders. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Woolen who looked like the future of the Seahawks secondary, now reportedly set to wear burgundy and gold. This isn't just a trade. This feels like a betrayal for Seattle faithful, a gut punch for the 12s who believed he was untouchable. After all, this guy was supposed to be part of the rebuild, a pillar of the Legion of Boom 2.0. But football, as we all know, is a business before it's a brotherhood, and it looks like that business just got cold. Behind closed doors, sources are whispering about disagreements with the coaching staff, frustration over defensive schemes, and maybe, just maybe, the feeling that Seattle's ceiling was lower than what Woolen envisioned for his career. The Commanders, on the other hand, are smiling from ear to ear. They've been craving a lockdown corner, someone who can bring swagger and bite to a defense that's been way too quiet. And if this deal goes through, Washington just got exactly that. Now, let's talk about what this means for the Seahawks. Losing Woolen isn't just about losing a player. It's about losing identity. When you draft a guy like him, raw but blazing fast, and watch him turn into a Pro Bowl-level defender in just his second year, you start imagining a future where he's the face of your defense. And now, boom, gone. The whispers around Seattle's front office suggest this wasn't sudden. Apparently, tensions had been simmering since training camp. There were reports about inconsistent effort, moments of miscommunication with the coaching staff, and even subtle hints from Pete Carroll that not everyone was fully bought in. But still, nobody thought it would lead to this. The Commanders swooping in feels like a move straight out of a soap opera, dramatic, messy, and perfectly timed. Washington's new ownership group wants splash plays and media buzz, and this, oh boy, delivers both. The fans are divided. Seahawks supporters are furious, Commanders fans are ecstatic, and everyone else in the NFC is watching closely, wondering how this will shake up the balance of power heading into the stretch run of the season. If we dive a little deeper into the why, things start to make more sense. Woolen has always carried himself with confidence, borderline cockiness, and while that edge makes him great on the field, it can rub people the wrong way behind the scenes. Sources say he wanted a bigger role, more flexibility in coverage, maybe even some say in defensive play calling. The Seahawks, traditional and structured as ever, weren't willing to hand him that kind of power. And when those lines of communication break down, resentment builds. The Commanders, under their new defensive coordinator, reportedly promised Woolen something Seattle couldn't, a chance to be the guy, to shape the defense around his athleticism and instincts. And that's hard to resist. Plus, let's be honest, Washington is desperate for a star. Their fan base has endured years of disappointment, and adding a flashy, playmaking corner instantly changes the energy. For Woolen, this might be about more than money or fame. It could be about legacy. Maybe he sees Washington as the place where he can become not just a name, but a legend. Of course, not everyone's buying it. Some insiders are calling this mutual spin, suggesting Seattle wanted him gone just as much as he wanted out. They point to declining numbers this season, fewer interceptions, more blown coverages, and argue that the Seahawks were tired of waiting for him to find consistency. Others, though, think it's about something deeper. The Seahawks are entering a quiet rebuild, trying to transition to a younger, hungrier roster that fits Carroll's always compete mantra. In that kind of environment, big personalities often clash with the grind. And while Woolen's talent is undeniable, maybe his vibe just didn't fit the culture anymore. The Commanders, on the other hand, are embracing chaos. They're collecting talent first, figuring out chemistry later. It's risky, but when you're chasing relevance in a brutal NFC East, you take those chances. Whatever the truth is, one thing's certain, this story isn't going away anytime soon. Expect press conferences, denials, emotional Instagram posts, and maybe even a few subtweets before this saga cools off. Let's not forget how quickly narratives shift in this league. One week, you're a cornerstone in Seattle's future plans. The next, you're the face of Washington's defensive revival. That's the NFL for you. Unpredictable, ruthless, and always full of drama. Fans are already imagining that first matchup between the Seahawks and Commanders next season. Imagine the tension, Woolen lining up against DK Metcalf, jawing at his old teammates, trying to prove they made a mistake letting him go. The cameras will eat it up, the broadcasters will hype it to the moon, and you just know someone's walking away salty. And maybe that's what Woolen wants, a chance to rewrite his narrative on his own terms. Because for all the talk about loyalty, football careers are short, and every player wants control of their story. If this move to Washington gives him that, who can really blame him? Still, that won't stop Seattle fans from feeling betrayed. They loved him like one of their own, and watching him walk away, especially to another NFC team, will sting for a long, long time. And now the real question, what does this mean for both teams moving forward? For Seattle, it's a test of resilience. They've been through transitions before, from the Legion of Boom era to now, and somehow, they always find a way to bounce back. But replacing a player like Woolen won't be easy. He brought speed, swagger, and big play potential that you can't just draft overnight. For Washington, this is a gamble that could redefine their defense. If Woolen stays healthy and focused, he could become the cornerstone of a unit ready to challenge the Eagles and Cowboys for NFC East supremacy. If not, it's another big-name experiment gone wrong. Either way, the drama is priceless. This is the kind of storyline fans live for. Loyalty versus ambition, structure versus freedom, old rivalries versus new beginnings. It's betrayal, it's business, it's football, and it's pure entertainment. Strap in, because this one's just getting started, and something tells me we're going to be talking about RIQ Woolen's betrayal for a very long time. It's funny how betrayal looks different depending on which jersey you wear. For the Seahawks, RIQ Woolen's departure feels like abandonment, the kind that leaves scars. For the Commanders, though, it feels like deliverance, like they just pulled off the heist of the year. Word inside the locker room is that Washington players are buzzing about the move. They've been needing a playmaker on defense, someone who not only talks the talk, but walks it every Sunday. Woolen brings that exact swagger. His arrival signals something bigger. The Commanders aren't just trying to compete anymore. They're trying to intimidate. You can already picture him in those deep burgundy uniforms, staring down receivers with that icy confidence. The buzz around the facility is electric. And while fans are divided online, some calling him a traitor, others calling him a genius, one thing's for sure, he's the talk of the league right now. The NFC landscape just shifted, and the ripple effects are going to be massive. Washington's betting big, and they might have just landed the piece that changes everything. Meanwhile, in Seattle, there's confusion, frustration, and maybe even a sense of déjà vu. The Seahawks have been here before, losing star defenders to other teams and having to rebuild on the fly. Remember when Richard Sherman left? When Earl Thomas stormed off? It feels like that all over again. The difference this time is that Woolen was supposed to be the next generation. Younger, faster, quieter, at least until now. Some insiders are whispering that the coaching staff saw this coming for months. They say the body language during practices told the story before any report did. A few veterans reportedly tried to step in to keep Woolen engaged, but his mind was already elsewhere. And now, with the Commanders ready to roll out the red carpet, there's no going back. Fans in Seattle are torn between anger and heartbreak, between blaming management or the player. It's messy, emotional, and oh so dramatic. Exactly the kind of off-field chaos that keeps the NFL on everyone's lips even in the off-season. For the Commanders, though, this is more than a signing. It's a statement. The NFC East has been dominated by Dallas and Philadelphia for too long, and Washington has been tired of being the punchline. Bringing in Woolen sends a message. They're done waiting for respect. This move screams confidence or desperation, depending on how you look at it. But sometimes, those two emotions walk hand in hand. Sources close to the Commanders say new ownership wanted a face of the defense, someone fans could rally behind. And who better than a young, explosive corner with star potential? The Commanders' secondary has struggled for years, and now they've got a weapon who can flip the field in an instant. Woolen's speed alone changes how teams will game plan against them. And with a few tweaks in scheme, Washington might suddenly look like a top 10 defense. The hype machine is officially on, and you can already see the headlines writing themselves. From betrayal to breakout, Woolen's redemption arc begins. Seattle, on the other hand, is left with questions, lots of them. Did they get enough value in return? Did they mismanage the relationship? Could this have been avoided? Those are the kinds of questions that keep general managers up at night. Pete Carroll's upbeat personality might mask it, but losing a player of Woolen's caliber stings deep. Fans are demanding answers, and the local media isn't holding back. There's talk about culture, about whether they always compete. Mantra is losing its magic with this new generation of players. Maybe Woolen's departure isn't just an isolated case. Maybe it's a symptom of a bigger problem. The league is changing, and the old ways of doing things don't always connect with today's athletes. Whatever the reason, this breakup between player and team feels symbolic. It's not just the end of a contract. It's the end of an era, the shattering of what could have been a defensive dynasty reborn. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. But let's not forget, Woolen's no villain here. Sure, Seahawks fans might burn his jersey, but deep down, everyone knows this league is about opportunity. He's chasing a new chapter, maybe one where he has more control over his destiny. And honestly, you can't fault him for that. The Commanders are giving him a platform to shine, and he's grabbing it with both hands. The only thing that will determine how this story ends is performance. If he locks down receivers and racks up interceptions, the noise will fade. Winning silences everything. But if he struggles, if the Commanders falter, the backlash will come fast. Seattle fans will say, "We told you so," and the media will pounce. That's the beauty and the curse of this sport. There's no hiding. Every play, every mistake, every celebration becomes part of the narrative. And right now, Woolen's writing a bold, controversial chapter in that book. In the end, betrayal is just another word for change. The Seahawks will regroup. The Commanders will celebrate. Fans will debate, argue, and speculate, because that's what football does. It fuels emotion. But underneath all the drama, there's something poetic about it. A young star taking a leap, a proud franchise forced to adapt, and a fanbase torn between loyalty and understanding. This is the kind of storyline that makes the NFL more than just a game. It's theater, it's passion, it's life in motion. So whether you're cheering in Washington or mourning in Seattle, one thing's undeniable. RIQ WOOLEN just turned the NFC upside down. The Commanders might have stolen a cornerstone, the Seahawks might have lost their spark, and the rest of the league better start paying attention. Because when betrayal hits the gridiron, it doesn't fade quietly. It echoes all season long. The Commanders now find themselves at the epicenter of league-wide attention, with every decision scrutinized and every interaction magnified. Insiders whisper that the atmosphere is charged, the roster is alert, and the staff is hyper-aware of the delicate balance between enforcing discipline and maintaining morale. Analysts note that Quinn's decisive actions may redefine leadership standards, potentially influencing broader conversations across the NFL about authority, accountability, and the management of elite athletes. Social media and fan forums remain awash with speculation, debate, and rumor, dissecting the player's future, Quinn's strategy, and the potential ramifications for the team's trajectory. Sources suggest that internal meetings, private consultations, and strategic planning sessions are ongoing, reflecting the complexity of managing a high-profile organization under intense scrutiny. The tension, drama, and intrigue surrounding this incident continue to unfold, leaving both insiders and the public on edge as they collectively await clarity, resolution, and the next dramatic development in what is shaping up to be one of the most talked-about stories of the season, emblematic of the high stakes, personalities, and unpredictable narratives that define professional football at the highest level. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.